All right, everyone, really important breaking news. Well, it was like breaking, I guess, last night or something. Stormy Daniels, in her new book, apparently she talks about Donald Trump's penis and pubic hair. And his dick apparently is abnormal in that the head of it is like a mushroom, according to her. That's rather funny to think about. And then he's got Yeti pubes. Like, I guess he's got like a lot of hair down there. I'm thinking to myself, isn't this further evidence of what I've been saying now for some time, which is that the left is playing Donald Trump's game unwittingly and it's devolving into tabloid garbage? Literally, I think I'm pretty sure there's a good chance, maybe not even a 50-50 chance, but the chance exists that Stormy Daniels, like Omarosa, is still working for Trump. I think the idea is he learned from his time in wrestling. The showman side of the boardroom politics style that he has is you create controlled opposition. Now, I mean, the deep state does this too, although in a less entertaining manner, but I think what he realized is this. The reason why the showmanship of things that are considered extravagant, very gaudy, very over-the-top, taboo in some cases, very in-your-face, loud, a lot of swearing, sexuality, lewdness, Stern Universe, Worldwide Wrestling, everything else he's done, some scenes in The Apprentice. The reason why is people want sensationalism. Ultimately, they are consumers. He sees the American public not just as citizens, but also consumers of an idea. That is the politics that they absorb. How is it marketed to them outside of that same sort of commercial style anyway? It's exactly the same thing. We try to claim that it has more decorum, but really there's no more decorum on a debate stage than on a wrestling stage. It's really not. So he doesn't give a fuck about the old style sort of pomp and circumstance style rules, very dressed up and stuff. He wears the open suit and has the weird hair and says fuck and does whatever he wants. And he knows that as long as he does that and he creates enemies that technically are fake, Omarosa is probably still on his payroll, maybe Stormy Daniels is, and if not, think about it this way, then his enemies are just stupid. Because they're playing his game. When you are talking about Donald Trump's penis, you are not going to be able to out-grungy Donald Trump on the topic and be like, well, I'm going to say things that'll make him uncomfortable. It's not going to happen. Say things that are straight out of the Weekly World News or the Inquirer, but somehow I'm going to win this engagement. I'm going to come out smelling like a rose. No, Trump's fans don't care if he talks about his mushroom dick. But they do care if the left starts doing that while claiming to be very erudite and very polite and talking about how Trump's unpresidential for having mentioned his hand size on a debate stage once. Isn't that funny that we went in the course of of about 2 years, I think now. In 2 years' time, we've gone from people criticizing, reaming Trump up and down for mentioning his hand size and alluding to his penis, to the point where now a former prostitute in her book can talk very literally about how his dick looks and his thick pubes and how he has sex and all of this stuff, and the left doesn't bat an eye. They don't care. He's won already, and they don't even realize it. So I think this is hilarious. They're playing Trump's game. Anyone who's counting Trump out there, like, oh, his polls are down, he won't win, the GOP is screwed. It doesn't, at this point, I don't even think that it matters what happens during the midterms. Trump is Trump. He's become so insular. He's got his inner circle. He's got a handful of more staunch allies. He's busy with money and foreign policy. The Democrats aren't going to be able to stand in his way if he says, hey, we want tax cuts round 2. What are they going to do? They're going to sell tax increases to the American people. Yeah, you could have paid less, but we're not doing that because reasons. Because you're supposed to care more about the debt that we ourselves haven't cared about for a fucking decade because we say so more than your wallet. That's never going to happen. Trump will run roughshod over him, get what he wants. On Korea, there's big news today. Kim Jong-un coming out again and praising Trump, saying, yeah, our summit with the Americans increased stability in the region. He's having a joint summit with President Moon right now. It looks like talks continue. Where's all that fear-mongering from a couple of weeks ago when people said it was all stalled and it was nothing more than a floor show? This is what, the 4th fucking summit that's happened this year on the topic of Korea? I'd say that's moving fairly quickly, especially when they keep pulling back their missile sites and you know, saying, well, we want to end the war. That's never happened before, so I give him credit for that. I think Stormy Daniels is very likely still working for Trump. I'm not sure, again, I wouldn't give it maybe as high an odds as I give it to Omarosa. There, I'm like 99% sure Omarosa's still on his payroll. But looking at the sensationalism, this has Trump written all over it. And the thing is, like, just by being an anti-Trumper, it's like she gets a lot of money. And her lawyer, who is playing, you know, sort of the villain lawyer, at least if you're a Trump fan, you probably think of him that way. Or you think of him as a hashtagger, as like a white knight for Stormy Daniels. And I want to see a second addendum on her book about his penis, but we're probably not going to see that. This has Trump written all over it. This is exactly what you would expect him to do. Create controlled opposition. He takes someone who has that sort of stage show flair. She's been, you know, literally a porn star, which is to say a hooker with a camera. You know, no offense to anybody, and some of you statistically have done like porn and stuff. I'm not speaking down to you. I don't really care. I think it should be legal. But that is what she does. She gets money to do sexual things with people, you know, including supposedly Trump himself. Okay, so she writes. You take someone who's in porn, as part of that sort of universe, and get him to write a book, which I don't think she wrote it herself. I mean, come on. It was ghostwritten probably by her lawyer. At this point, it's probably why he's there. And then she comes out and says all sorts of weird stuff about him. Once again, what has just happened in the last 24 hours? Are we talking about substantive policy issues? Are we talking about actual politics in the more dry, maybe academic, traditional sense? Or are we talking about Mario Kart penis? We're talking about... We're doing exactly what Trump wants. The thing is, the mainstream media, the handful of pundits that even comprehend this, they're going to talk about it anyway because it's good news. It makes money for them. He has gotten them all addicted to fucking tabloid crack, and most of them are still ignorant of the fact that they're playing his game. They still think they can stop Trump by indulging in tabloid stories. Here's the thing. If things aren't going well for Trump, he'll have one of his controlled opposition people come out and say something totally fucking off the wall that, when indulged in by the legacy media, makes them look like what they have become. It's not a lie on Trump's part making them look like this. It's just exposing what they are. Tabloid spew on behalf of the deep state that are just as much inclined to lie and to cheat and to do other crazy things, to talk about crazy shit, to defame people, to take up stories just because they're clickbaity and put them out there. It's just that for a long time, they didn't really dare to do it. Now they do. Unfortunately, he's giving them enough rope to hang themselves with, and again, most of them don't realize it. And again, let's say Stormy Daniels isn't on his payroll. Okay. Again, the effect is the same. We're talking about Trump's Yeti pubes. We're not talking about, the wall that hasn't been fully funded yet, although they're looking forward to another major installment. We're not talking about the technically stalled North Korea talks, although, again, improvement there. We're not talking about how we're not at 20% GDP growth yet, or some stupid total that, will be dragged out of Paul Krugman's ass the next day. No, we're talking about what does the president's penis look like. And again, it makes them look unhinged. It looks unhinged when a so-called mainstream publication, or even the lay liberals, people on the left, they're sitting there chuckling about Donald Trump's Yeti pubes. Oh yeah, haha, he must have... It's one-dimensionality. It's an attempt at propaganda. The president can't have a normal or even above-average penis if he's Hitler. It's impossible. Why do you think that they still tell stories about Adolf Hitler having lost a testicle at some point or having a micropenis? Because if it were normal, it wouldn't fit in with the one-dimensional stereotype. You have to create one-dimensionality for the propaganda to actually work. Not an exoneration, but the odds of him actually having no testicles or something relatively down there, or that he was a homosexual. That's the other thing that they used to talk about. Now, not so much, because homosexuality is more accepted now. But if you want to turn Trump into Hitler, you have to have an abnormal genitals, because it's important. You have to portray him as uniquely and in a grotesque manner obsessed with sexuality as well. He has to be a pervert and a predator. He also has to have some sort of mental complex because his penis just isn't quite right. Because otherwise the one-dimensionality goes away. But, he still fucked an A-class porn star and then gave her 6 figures to shut up about it. By the way, not in a violation of election code, because it happened before the election began. People briefly talked about that and said, aha, this time he's going down. And then they realized that the date was wrong. And they're like, oh, okay, it was legal. It was a payoff. Yeah, it's dubious. By the way, whoever said, who fucking ticked a box or pressed a button and voted for Donald Trump thinking he would be like squeaky clean? Did you actually think he would get up there and be very somber, like a new Abraham Lincoln or something? Be very reserved, never say anything bawdy, that's just campaign rhetoric, and he would settle down and be normal? Did you actually expect Donald Trump to be normal? Our president is Donald Trump. Just fucking wrap your head around that. Some people I don't think still have. Now, it's an attempt at one-dimensionality that may be even controlled opposition. Regardless, it's a totally inept attack. Everyone, once again, we're right where Trump wants us. We're talking about Trump, and we're talking about him in the sense of infotainment. We're talking as though we're in Howard Stern's newsroom, or we're on the stage at WWE, or we just walked onto the set of The Apprentice. Like, it's not quite real. It's an illusion. He's a master of Shakespearean propaganda, and they're like little kids that still think they can beat him. That's about all. Peace out.